My name is Liam and I love movies, and last year I saw a whole lot of movies, many of which were good, 10 of which were really good. Welcome back to Feedback Really. I'm here today with Liam.
Howdy.
And together we're going to be counting down the top 10 films of 2019. I saw a lot of movies this year. I don't know about you.
I saw at least 2 movies, so I think I can do this top 10.
Alrighty. Well, let's get started right on the ball. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Marriage Story.
Okay.
Alright. I assume this is a bit higher on your list. Yours is a bit higher on my list as well, so... spoiler alert.
You're always high on my list, bro.
Marriage Story, I thought, was really good. Like, very strong performances, a very engaging and intelligent screenplay. It's such a brutally realistic portrayal of a thing that virtually everyone will experience at some point or another, whether or not first-hand or second-hand. Cinematography was very kind of straightforward. It relied mostly on the screenplay and the dialogue and the acting, I thought. And that's probably why it's a little bit lower for me, but I still loved it.
Okay. Knives Out was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. On to the next...
3, 2, 1. The Last
Paddleton.
Black Man in San Francisco.
Okay, your title was longer than mine. Paddleton was a very... It's so simple, but, so effective, man. Kind of one of the most underrated gems of 2019. Completely looked over. Great chemistry between the two leads. Its sense of humor was very dry, and I was able to connect with that.
Yeah. You were correct in all your observations. Last Black Man in San Francisco was really just a great slice of life movie. It doesn't really have much of a plot, but it really sucks you into its world. Cinematography just walks this really fine line of romanticizing and beautifying San Francisco and showing you what it's like. I was really impressed with how well they captured its beauty, but also kind of shows you the reality of it and how it's been really gentrified, and the fact that the people that have lived there the longest are so alienated from it. Great cast as well. I love the way the characters just immerse you into their world, and whenever something happens to them, you just kind of feel it because you're in their world and their world gets shattered more or less. I loved it. I'm so glad I got the chance to see it.
I haven't seen it.
2, 1.
Jojo
Once Upon a Time in
Rabbit.
Hollywood. I love the way Once Upon a Time in Hollywood transports you into its world as well. It's another really great slice of life story. I love Tarantino, so do you. I'm obviously going to love this movie. In a way, he kind of indulges in everything he loves while also holding back in ways that he doesn't usually.
It's much more restrained than his other flicks.
Yeah.
But in the best way possible. It is technically a slice of life film, but it's a very different take on it.
Because his films are normally very, very plot heavy. This just kind of shows you what's happening in Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth's life. It's such a slow-moving, simple movie, but then just hits you right in the face in the end, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, you know who else got hit in the face? That dude with the fuck. Jojo Rabbit was satirical brilliance, honestly. I've been a fan of Taika for a long time. Ever since I saw his first work, which was Thor Ragnarok. No, he has such a genius way of taking such a heavy situation, such as World War II, just making it so light and enjoyable, and the fact that you get to see such an awful time through a young boy's eyes, his rose-tinted glasses, is very, very unique. And it's not something that we see very often, and that's one of the things I loved about it.
It's a movie about indoctrination, which is something that doesn't really get enough coverage, I don't think. Everyone just kind of looks at it and says, oh, these people are bad things happened. But this shows you how someone can be influenced that way. Yeah. And it also shows you how when someone's exposed to just what the real world's actually like early on, they can turn it around. You know, this thing you've been taught your entire life isn't true.
If only you would take that into account with your views on sex issues, Hartley.
2, 1. The
Uncut
Irishman.
Gems. Cool. Uncut Gems was a heart attack in a movie, but in the best way. Like, it's actually kind of made me want to have a heart attack in real life now because it was so exhilarating, you know?
Yeah. Ever since I watched Uncut Gems, I thought, man, wouldn't it be nice to have a heart attack?
Yeah, wouldn't it just be nice? One day, my friend, we will have heart attacks. Adam
Uncut
Sandler
Gems.
was incredible. Genuinely, his best performance. One of my favourite performances of last year. Uncut Gems has one of my favourite scores of the year.
Absolutely, yes.
Probably my favourite, actually. The Safdie brothers, you know, if you don't like their movies, you just don't get them, okay? You don't get it. Just trying to think of something of substance to say. Yeah.
Well, I thought The Irishman, I really liked that it was just... I like movies that don't waste their time. Like a nice, quick, short, sweet movie. Really just jumps right in, doesn't mess around with anything. Just a simple movie about a man from Ireland. And I'm really glad that Martin Scorsese finally stepped out of the traditional gangster movie. Genuinely though, The Irishman, Al Pacino probably might have given the best performance I've seen from him. I think it might actually be his best performance. And it's, you know, it's nice to see that Joe Pesci's still alive. And Robert De Niro does a great job of just carrying the whole movie. But right towards the end, like, he really steps it up a notch. I absolutely loved it. It's also strangely terrifying, like in an existential way. Like, it kind of scares the crap out of you. Makes you contemplate your own existence in a
I'll make you contemplate your own existence.
surreal way. 2, 1.
The
Peanut Butter
Irishman.
Falcon. I think everything
What else is
needs
there
to
to
be
say
said
about
The
The
Irishman has
Irishman?
been said, so I'm going to talk about Peanut Butter
The
Falcon.
Irishman was a pretty excellent film that came out in 2019, directed by Martin Scorsese.
Peanut Butter Falcon is a really, really nice movie. I felt very warm watching it, you know, very warm inside. Like, it does the unlikely family trope.
Oh, bro, that was me, man.
It does the unlikely family trope in a way that hasn't really been done before, or has, but not this nice. Zach Gottsagen, I think that's how you pronounce his surname. He was a revelation. I was really glad.
His comedic timing is actually incredible.
It's not just a tragedy to live with a disorder like that. You can actually just live your normal
Does
life.
Shia LaBeouf have a disorder?
So, and Shia LaBeouf has some really, really great lines that he directs at Dakota Johnson, where he just says, treating him like he's not a normal person is what's ruining his life. They actually gave some representation that doesn't talk down to you or to the people that are being represented. You cried like a little bitch when we watched it. I remember you turned to me, you had tears in your eyes. I said, oh, what a fucking idiot, what a loser. Good movie though. What do you have to say about The Irishman?
It was a good movie, man. Just a fun time.
3, 2, 1. The Lighthouse.
Peanut butter count. What?
The Lighthouse.
I thought you were saying The Lion King.
The Lion King. 2019, directed by Jon Favreau.
I just heard The Light.
I'm so glad they finally gave this movie the update it needed. Finally, we have a live-action Lion King. I can't believe it took this long.
It was nominated for Best Animated Film at the Golden Globes long.
Yeah, well, the Golden Globes are kind of dumb. I mean,
I
like
disagree.
they nominated.
We disagree, personally.
They nominated The Martian for like best musical or comedy. Like clearly they don't know what they're talking about.
Stop! Stop! Once again, you're just a step ahead of me.
Yes.
But Peanut
Like
Butter...
in all things.
Peanut Butter Gamer was genuinely beautiful. It is one of the most heartfelt films I've watched in a long time. I don't know if you got these vibes, but it reminded me a lot of Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh yeah.
In its humor and the way it was shot. The main complaint that I hear is that it's cheesy, but I strongly, firmly believe that it earns its cheese.
Absolutely. I love that we've got like a cheesy, wholesome, feel-good movie about a topic like this. It's a niche that sort of needs to be filled.
Absolutely. And not only that, but it was, well shot, had some great song and track choices, great performances. Now talk about The Lion House.
The Lion House. Honestly, I don't know what to say about The Lighthouse. It's creepy, disturbing, hilarious, and somehow strangely relatable. Willem Dafoe's playing such an outrageous character that like feels so out of left field that you wouldn't ever think would work in a serious movie. But he plays it, he commits so hard to it. And I will be quoting his lines for the rest of my life. They even make light of it being a parody of itself. But
Spoilers!
Robert Pattinson plays a great character too. It's just...
It's both career best performances.
Yeah. It has a lot of subtext to it that you can read into, but it also just works if you just want to watch a really weird movie about a guy going insane. It can mean everything and nothing at once, and I love movies like that. Those are the best kind.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
First good point you've made in this entire fucking video.
3, 2, 1.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Yes. Yes. Knives Out is good. I've already talked about it, so shut up. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Talk about slice of life films, right? This film doesn't really have a plot. It's got a simple setup, but all it is you're placed into this one location, and it's about this blossoming romance between two women. It's a very beautiful movie. Everything about it is so well made. The sound design is so crisp, and the cinematography is stunning. I just really loved being a part of their lives for, a week.
Yeah. It's a real tragedy in a way as well.
Oh, it's very sad. It's very sad. You cried like a baby uncontrollably. You were sobbing, you were on the floor, you were begging, you're like, please, let's go watch Knives Out. Celine Sciamma, I think that's how her name is pronounced, one of the best directors working today, and she did an incredible job with this film.
I too am really looking forward to the future works of Selena Gomez. So, Knives Out. I'm just so glad Rian Johnson still has a career, especially if he's going to keep making movies like this, because he's way better suited to original movies than franchise work. I don't hate The Last Jedi like some people do, but
I fucking don't hate.
I just love this movie. I think it's so clever. Daniel Craig is hilarious in this movie. Ana de Armas is the best girl in the world. She deserved an Oscar nom for her work in this.
Yeah.
Chris Evans really plays a role that he's never played before. He really walks this line between...
Of course he's never played before. He's never done this movie more than once. Idiot.
Chris Evans really walks this line between... You never really know what his motivation is. He just kind of seems like he's this reformed guy, but he might still be a piece of shit, or he's just always been a piece of shit. It's just a classic whodunit in a modern setting with, their little twists. But it doesn't shy away from the fact that it is this classic type of movie.
It's so classy.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things.
The production design is immaculate. Like, it really blends that kind of Agatha Christie style with a modern setting effortlessly. I can't believe it didn't get any recognition for that, because it was so good. Daniel Craig does a minute-long...
I'm a bit of an expert in acting, right?
A minute-long monologue on
I think that
donuts. It's the funniest thing in the world.
I'm an expert on acting. I'm not trying to say he did a bad job, but is it just me? Or was Daniel Craig's accent a little bit weird in the movie? For a whodunit, I wasn't expecting how it turned out. That's not real fucking criticism.
So now we're getting to the top 3, and we're actually getting to the 3 movies that I actually gave 5 stars on Letterboxd. That's right, we both have Letterboxds.
Your pee-pee must be so big.
Follow Kirky at Kirky on Letterboxd. And follow me. Okay, don't plug me then. I'll just plug myself. Follow me.
And make sure to follow...
at Liam of Hartley. Follow us both.
My penis is enormous.
All of the movies we saw this year ranked.
And make sure that you bump that review right here of Parasite that I've posted. My half-star review of Parasite. Get it up to maybe 20 likes. Let's get that goals. Best picture, really. Now, let's talk about our number 3 spots. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Parasite.
Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems gave me a headache, but like in a good way. I've never been so simultaneously stressed and entertained. So intense. Makes you want to strangle Adam Sandler, but like in a good way, not in the usual way. Career best performance, I think you said the same thing. I think he actually did give the best performance of the year.
My 3rd favourite. Stay tuned for our top 10 rankings of the performances of last year.
It's not going to happen. And it feels real. It's a premise that kind of...
It's getting hot, bro.
This character is so suited to Adam Sandler's usual style of performance. Obnoxious and annoying and a complete piece of shit. But when it's intentional and when it's this outlandish character that's in a real world being punished for his actions, It's so entertaining. I had a blanket at the time. You were there. I was clutching it.
Yeah, we were under the blanket together, and he was hogging it.
We were on separate chairs. I was doing this.
Yeah, and I was doing this.
Talk about Parasite. You parasite.
Good one, bro. That was pretty funny. Actually, I'm going to schedule a laugh in as soon as I can.
Joke's on you. I just played a laugh track.
It's kind of hard to talk about Parasite because there's so much to unpack. It's such an interesting take on social status, as well as being comedic, dark, disturbing. It feels like it's a bunch of things put together that kind of don't work on paper and kind of could be taken as a joke, but when you put it all together, it becomes one of the most coherent, just frankly important films. And I've seen it twice now, and it's even better on second viewing. Absolutely phenomenal. It deserves all of the acclaim it's getting. I don't know what else I can say. People have made hour-long videos about this. I'm with you. Don't need to say any more.
2, 1.
Marriage Story.
Paddleton was a beautiful movie. I talk about, cinematography, acting, direction, writing, all this stuff. Paddleton just hit me where I live. It got to me in a way that I don't think anything else has. I was sad but happy. I was a bit of a wreck after watching this movie. For a long time it was my favourite movie of the year, but something changed. Ray Romano, I've said this a few times, but it is a career best performance for him by far. He plays a character that fits right in his wheelhouse, but also is not really something he's ever done before. He's so good at playing this, definitely on the spectrum, but not blatant about it.
You could say he's kind of like a mammoth of an actor.
His kind of straight man, funny man dynamic with Mark Duplass also just makes this movie...
Mm-hmm. It's the heart of the film.
Yeah, it's such a nice movie about friendship. It's so funny for a long time, but it just punches you in the gut. So many of these movies are like unpredictable, wild journeys, but you know exactly where this movie is going from the very beginning. And that's almost what makes it so upsetting. You know it's coming, but you just have to sit and watch. It's the real world. And it sucks, but it's also beautiful. By the way, Paddleton's on Netflix. Go and watch it.
Yeah, you have literally no excuse. Speaking of real, Marriage Story. Marriage Story was such an interesting experience for me. I watched it not knowing anything about it. It starts off with a loving story about these two people who clearly have a wonderful relationship, and then that's just not what the movie's about at all. It's about two people trapped as a pair trying to be individuals. And it's so interesting. It never once feels unrealistic in its depiction of divorce, because you can so easily do that subplot or that scene where, they hate each other. And even then, this film takes that idea, it still grounds it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most stunning things about it. This was my number one for a long time. Some people say the score is a bit hokey. I love it. I think it's very fitting. One of my favourite parts about the movie that no one talks about is that guy. Ray Liotta. I don't know if you can see him. Ray Liotta plays a piece of shit. Both of the lawyers in that film, all three of the lawyers actually were great. This film doesn't even feel like a film. It feels like I'm just there. And I think that for me personally, that's the best thing a movie can do.
Yeah.
Is completely draw me in and forget that I'm sitting in a movie theater, or if I'm in my bed, or if I'm on a couch or a chair at home. I forget.
The argument scene, the scene that everyone knows. That is one of the best scenes
Acting 101
of the year. It's so beautiful, so visceral,
so well written. It's my favourite screenplay of 2019. I don't know what else to say. Kid was good. I wanted to kick him in the head sometimes, but that's just because he's a kid. It's my second favourite story, composed by Randy Newman.
I get it, because Toy Story. Honourable mentions, but not your standard run-of-the-mill honourable mentions.
No,
where people just
we like to shake
where
it
people
up.
just use their their runner-up 5 or 10 movies. We're not like that. All right, we're original. We've got 3 that have their own unique name.
And what's the first name?
The Aggressively Average Award. The movie that is just so run-of-the-mill, so middle of the road. The most 5 out of 10 movie. 3, 2, 1.
Extremely wicked, shockingly vile... No, shockingly evil and vile... Fuck. See what I mean? See what I mean? It's fucking hard. Can we try that again? Extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile was fine.
Captain Marvel was fine. It always seems to be these movies where people try to drum up controversy that are just so totally average.
Yeah, just a movie that exists, and people that enjoyed it.
It has some nice fight sequences, it has some kind of cringy humour.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson's alright, Brie Larson's alright, other actors are alright.
Yeah. Ben Mendelsohn was alright. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile.
Alexander and the extremely wicked, shockingly vile, horrible day. I've never seen this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. It's the movie about Ted Bundy.
Oh!
It's the Ted Bundy movie.
Oh, the Zac Efron one.
Once again, stirred up controversy because it's like, oh, they're romanticizing this guy. It doesn't really. He's very clearly not a good person. Zac Efron was pretty good. He was pretty good. He was probably the best part about the movie. Everything else is very standard. It's not shot in an interesting way. I can't remember any scenes. It's a fine movie. I don't get why it had such a controversy around it when it came out, because it was just like, What's the next one, Hartley? I can hardly wait. I'm on the edge of my seat.
The Harsher in Hindsight Award.
Ooh.
When you first saw it, you would have thought, oh, this is going to be in my top 10. It's pretty great. But then over time, like, you may not dislike it, but like over time you just kind of started to see more flaws in it. You're just kind of like, it's alright, or actually it's bad. Just a movie that fell from grace in your eyes, or our eyes.
Yes, our eyes. Fuck your eyes.
Your
if
eyes
you
are
want to
good.
participate, guys, comment your top 10 in the list below, and we'll definitely ignore you.
3, 2, 1. El Camino.
Booksmart. What?
Directed by Vince Gilligan.
You still like it though, right?
Sequel to Breaking Bad. I think El Camino has some really amazing sequences in it. It's beautifully shot. Vince Gilligan has really
He knows
stepped
how
up.
to make a thing.
This is one movie where I think it's worse than the sum of its parts. It's a lot of great sequences stitched together that don't amount to a lot. As a sequel to Breaking Bad, I love the fan service because I love Breaking Bad. People were saying from the outset that it didn't really need to be there. I watched it and I was like, I disagree. Then over time I went, actually, they're right.
It doesn't need to exist, but I think it's very nice that it does.
I think it's very nice that it does as well. But at first I was like, this is one of the best of the year.
Okay, well,
And then over time I went, it's a lot of great sequences stitched together.
fair enough. My problem with Booksmart, right, is it's so incredibly entertaining, so many great lines, the chemistry between the two main characters, and what they've got to do, the supporting characters. I think it's all good stuff. It's all really good stuff. And I walked out of the theatre buzzing. It made me feel good, man. And then a few days later, I just really forgot about it. When I look back on it, I remember that I really enjoyed myself and I had a great time. But I just don't really remember anything about the movie, except that I watched it.
Well, I didn't see Booksmart, which is...
It's very good.
Yeah, no, I do want to.
That was another thing as well, that there were so many, like, top-class films last year
Absolutely.
that it just kind of bumped it down. It was a great fucking year.
Very
What
good
can
year.
I say?
Yeah.
And with that, what's the last one? What's the last one? It's a bit of a buzz. It's a bit of a...
There's no clever title for this one, unfortunately. It's just the Surprisingly Good Award.
Yeah.
The movie that you didn't expect to be any good, or you maybe expected it to just kind of be okay, and it was actually good.
Yeah. It just had to surpass expectations in some way.
2, 1.
Shazam!
Ready or Not. Shazam's my second pick.
Well, there you go. I haven't seen Ready or Not. Shazam is one of the most fun times I've had in the cinema. I'm not going to lie. It was so entertaining. Very reminiscent of old school comic book movies. And I say old school, and I really mean like 90s and
Early 2000s.
early 2000s.
Very, very
movies.
Raimi.
Yes, yes. Zachary Levi has an incredible time with it. You can tell that he's just having so much fun. And it translates, because I had a lot of fun. The villain is hokey. The scenes are goofy. But it's also got this lovely through line of family. And I just wasn't expecting anything from it, because it's by the same morons that made Suicide Squad, you know?
I think they've kind of overhauled, though.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Because this had such a great vibe to it. Ready or Not is just really, really schlocky. but in a great way. It's so out there with its premise. It's a really stupid premise, but hey, they did it. I don't know if they even made it work. They just kind of did it and did it unapologetically.
You gotta appreciate that gusto.
Yeah. Samara Weaving is really a breakout performance. I think she's going to be in more mainstream stuff from this point onwards. As the main character in this, she really carries the movie. She's funny. She reacts like a normal person would. She just gets really freaked out and then angry and then frightened and then sad. And
sounds like my wife.
a lot of people were kind of like, they didn't like the ending. I was kind of on the fence about the ending, but then the last shot really just brings it home.
Okay.
There's just this one-liner, and it's just like, okay, this is stupid.
Well, I guess in the end, I've got to be ready.
Really great soundtrack too, actually. I just remembered they've got this like old-timey hide-and-seek song. Run, 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 run away and hide. And it feels like it's this old vinyl, but it's so creepy as well.
It's just one of those films that kind of went under my radar, honestly.
Well, it was aggressively on my radar, actually, and I was expecting to watch like a really crappy movie.
And you didn't.
Because I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is ridiculously stupid. How are they going to justify this?
But then they did. To switch things up, I'm going to say your number one, and you say my number one.
Alright.
Right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Parasite. James Corden, I cannot believe this. I had my doubts.
When you see James Corden as high five, you think, this is peak James Corden, and then he licks his balls.
And Rebel Wilson, like Jojo Rabbit, she did it all right. But like
Rebel Wilson. Dame Judi Dench has Dame Judi Dench has such nice hands. Her hands, I want to hold them. I want to hold Dame Judi Bumpers' hands.
We'll do it right when we say each other's one.
Okay, and then I'll still say that you were wrong. 3,
2, 1. The Lighthouse. No.
Oh, we're doing each other's one. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, let's do each other's one as a fuck this.
3, 2, 1. The
Parasite.
Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse is a modern day 2001, A Space Odyssey. Honestly, revolutionary. It's going to change the way that people look at films, the way people make films. It's so wholeheartedly its own unique vision, and Robert Eggers just did an impeccable job writing with his brother and then directing the film. For me, the best shot film I've seen probably ever. Everything about its aspect ratio, the colouring of the scenes and the shades, the use of light. It's such a marvel to look at, and yet it's so claustrophobic as well. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, just absolute knockouts. Pattinson's decline is just becoming more and more of a piece of shit, and just how Willem Dafoe really gets at him. So entertaining. I'm going to talk about this one a bit longer because, it's a number one. May as well talk about it.
Go right on ahead. Buckaroo.
Okay, cunt. One of the best aspects of it is how theatrical it feels as well. It kind of doesn't feel like a film screenplay, but in the best way. It feels a lot like a play.
It's very Beckett.
Yes.
Very Waiting for Godot.
Yes, and it's got so many wonderful monologues. Pattinson's monologue about farts and Willem Dafoe's hark. That's both of those scenes. They're just going to be looked at film school. It's going to be looked at acting school.
It's the herald angels sing.
Glory to the newborn king. Yeah, excellent. Funny. Laugh! And another point that you brought up earlier when you talked about it was the fact that it is so open to interpretation. You can just watch it as this decline into insanity, and that's all it is for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. You don't lose anything. But I have been thinking about this film. We saw this, I think, 2 weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about it every single day. It hasn't been a single day where it hasn't popped into my head. And it makes me so angry that we saw it so fucking late. It's not fair. If I could have watched this movie 6 months ago, when it was first being shown, then that's 6 more months I have with the movie, Brilliant film.
Parasite.
Oh, speaking of brilliant films,
was a brilliant film. Parasite is just something else. I don't think there's ever been a movie like it. I don't know if there will be a movie like it. It's going to be so often imitated, and people are going to fuck it up. People are going to do it again and do it well.
HBO miniseries.
Oh, I can't
HBO
believe that's happening.
miniseries.
But you say you want a revolution. Well, I think this is going to start a revolution. Not only in foreign representation, not only in the movie itself being rewritten and remade apparently, but also just movies like it are going to keep popping up. It has so much to say about class, and no one's the bad guy in this movie. Like, if anything, the poor people are worse than the rich people, considering what they do. Yeah. But it's just about how the system just makes everyone worse.
The system's the bad guy, really.
Yeah. The moral of the story is, fuck the system! No, but for real, though. Really. But no. But for real. So beautiful. There's so many great lines that I keep popping into my head. Like, it's so metaphorical. Like, that means nothing, but it's so funny.
It's said so many times as well.
Yeah, it's just looking at a rock.
For this bountiful Wi-Fi. That's my favourite. It's kind of two different movies in one. Because halfway point, it just does a complete 180. It's such a quick switch, but it doesn't feel unnatural.
No, yeah. Everything's kind of a little bit weird from the beginning, but you can kind of see where the movie's going. It's called Parasite. They're kind of acting like a parasite.
It's kind of a heist movie in a way.
They're sneaking their way in, and then just everything goes bonkers. Set up so brilliantly in the first act for it to all come crashing down towards the end.
Not a single loose end.
Yeah. No. Oh.
It's so tight. It's so tight.
It's so sad, but so funny as well. It was probably the first time since Birdman that the Best Picture, in my opinion, actually won Best Picture. And even then with Birdman, it was like a toss-up between it and Whiplash. I can't believe the Academy actually followed through this time, after last year with Green Book.
I was so certain that Ford vs. Ferrari was going to win, man.
I thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might win, or maybe The Irishman. I'm so glad it went to Parasite. I'm so glad it got everything it deserved.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice for it to get some acting nods.
Yeah, I was just about to say the exact same thing.
And even a score nod, because the score is great, the way they blend classical music into create such a contrast.
It is genuinely Bong Joon-ho's magnum opus.
I don't think I've seen any other movie from him, but I really want to now. I want to see his American movies, but I really want to see the movies he made like earlier in his career when he was still in Korea.
Early in his career, when he was a Korea.
Where he was a Korean.
Korea.
Early in his career, while he was in Korea, he established his career with some Korean films. And then he left Korea to pursue a career in Hollywood. Then he went back to Korea for a Korean career and made Parasite. And aren't we all happy that we got Parasite?
I'm not happy that I'm sitting with you because you're giving me a fucking headache.
Parasite. And The Lighthouse. The movies of the year.
Yeah! Big round of applause, everyone! Woo!
Yeah.
2019. What a year.
What a year.
Cancer was cured.
That occurred.
We eradicated the
Donald
coronavirus.
Trump was re-elected.
Donald Trump. Thankfully.
He had some choice words to say about Parasite.
The bad parts of Australia were burnt to the ground.
But most importantly, there were films that were made and released and seen by us, and hopefully soon by you. This has been Feedback Really Hurts. I know it's been a while, as in I made one video about 2 years ago and now I'm making another one, but hopefully there'll be more.
Anyway, I've been Liam Hartley.
And I've been Johnny Karate. And this will be goodbye.
Excellent. Help me out this fucking hellhole.